And about a quick break, welcome back, everyone. We're getting ready for the next series of the day, Shopify Rebellion Black going up against Core Gaming. Dan, the last match was fun. I know we got our fill of being able to see this Keyword Academy, but going into this next one, there is a lot of hype around this team as well. Core we got to see last week, but Shopify Rebellion Black, there is a lot of conversation about this team coming into things as well.
Yeah, Shopify Rebellion Black, they came to Challengers this year as one of the favorite teams, if not, like that top one for a few people. But that first match, it didn't really go the way that we expected it for them. Now, you look at this roster and you understand why they are, and they continue to be one of the favorites. But my question here is, are they going to bounce back today? Are they still the favorites? Has that changed? I think they should be the favorites for this match for sure, though.
Yeah, I'm still willing to chalk up to a little bit of growing pains as, of course, looking at this roster. It's a lot of newer pieces kind of coming together. And of course, we're now going to be able to see kind of different roles. Pancakes in the past was IGL, now BCJ up, stepping into that role, being able to see Paint move up. So, Roy, I think there's a lot of exciting things. So, first, let's talk about Paint because Paint is somebody that we've been able to highlight in individual games in the past, but is a name that I think a lot of people maybe are not most familiar with for
Mhm.
challengers.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Paint's like his sort of like rise to fame kind of started when he was a stand-in for one of the VCT teams, and he ended up
Yes.
performing very, very well. And ever since then, it's not like he spawned out of nowhere, right? Like he's been in tier 2, he's been in tier 3, he's sort of been competing as well as participating in the rank system. So it's like it's not even that he's completely new to it, but I think his recent rise to fame is completely justified. He's a very well-rounded duelist. He's very vocal. He's a very high energy type of player, and the statistics seem to back that up.
Yeah, like you said, I think that's true. And it's not that Paint was not competing before, or a player that we didn't really see around before, but it was like in the qualifiers, sometimes he would just not make it through. He was right there one match away, and that just
Yep.
they didn't quite close it out. But after he played that one match with MIBR last year, it seems like we started hearing more about Paint. Everybody looking up like, oh, who's this Paint guy? And now he's competing again, one of the best wrestlers that we have right now.
Definitely super deserved because even on a roster that maybe didn't perform so well in the past, he was always a bright spot. So having a legion of strong players around him, only hoping for the best. And talking about some of those players, you got to talk about the Proctagon. This is someone who we've seen throughout challengers. And Roy, whenever we talk about him, it's always talking about this consistency and everything else that he can bring to a squad.
Yeah, Brock the Rock is what I call him from now on, honestly. He's like the type of player you want on your team. He's in a support role. He can step up. He can be reliable. He has impeccable utility, and just the clutch factor can quite literally never be understated. He's always a threat in the server, and the versatility that he provides in the supportive roles that he plays are just immaculate, and it's honestly a blessing for a team like Shopify Rebellion Black to even have a player like that. That's probably the most glaze I've ever given anyone, but it's completely justified, and I think he's a very strong player.
Is someone that I feel like I can hear the caster calls of like, bro, good, and all of this stuff. Like he's been someone
Yes.
that
He's
if
so
you're
memeable too.
I mean, for good reason. Good memes, not bad memes. You got to clarify that, Roy, all right? But someone who's really been able to be a pillar for the team. And when we're looking at a Shopify Rebellion Black that's having this roster rebuild and everything else, I think that is so important for the team. But now we have to talk about who they're going up against and start talking about Core. Core is a team, they actually had a really, really close game last week up against SAD Esports. Unable to quite close it out on the fracture. That one was a little bit more of a slippery slope for them. But this is where, Roy, you get to see some of these people that have been playing in the scene for a long time, paired with a little bit more of this fresher blood.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these players they're veterans in the tier 2 scene. Darkus had, if I remember correctly, he had some trials for VCT teams in like last year, if I remember correctly. So I mean, a lot of these players have trialed, obviously Nerve being on DSG formerly, and a lot of these these teams that these players have been around, and the players that they've been around as well, they've sort of collected this superpower from different rosters and different dynamics, and they're bringing it into this sort of young upcoming team that I think is honestly a little bit underrated.
I mean, talking about Darkus, because Darkus was someone that we did talk about quite a bit last year when he was actually on SAD Esports of all things. And this was someone that was always able to step up and really be able to support the team and looking to do that now when we are talking about that fresh talent that this team offers.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what Rory was saying about this team being a little bit underrated, especially for today. They're absolutely the underdogs. But I think it's when you look at the pieces like Darkest, I think has always been in the different teams that he's been a part of. He's always been one of my highlights. Right now in the initiator role, he's looking really good. Having that support with the breach, with the KO, as we just got the chance to see last week. And like you said, yeah, sometimes and even that map of Fracture that we saw last week, it was not the greatest. It was the one that it was a very clear one side for Sad. But Darkest is always I think like that consistent piece of assistance that the team is looking for. It just feels like they need a little bit more time, maybe with Timotino, maybe Timotino finding that consistency. But I think you can always rely on Darkest that he's going to be there.
And honestly, being completely devil's advocate here, being completely devil's advocate here, I mean, is Core a better or worse team than Burger Boys? Like, I think they're kind of plus or minus within the same line of scale, right? So I think the level of, the level of competition that we have here is not too crazy to believe that Core is not that big of an underdog in this matchup.
I love how the cat's like, I have some thoughts about this one. Like,
let me
like, let me get in there. But circling back around to support for the team and consistency of players and talking about Timotino, this is somebody that has potential through the roof. We got to see a nice little step up performance last week. Unfortunately, when we did see a Sad Esports that was good at completely closing him out of the match, it looked like later on in things, someone who couldn't really necessarily showcase that throughout the series. But this is someone who qualified through Premier originally, then got picked up here, Roy, and someone that like consistently in the top 10 in terms of rating placements, if you want to look at what he's been able to do there. So you know he has the capability to be a star.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just the fact that he's taken the duelist role from Logan, who I consider to be a really good duelist, is almost a statement in itself that he's a very capable player.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see with the team now being able to have a little bit more time together, if we can see Timotino really be able to shine, and a reason why he was stolen away from the Premier team that he was qualified with in the first place. So talked about the support, we talked about the duelists, and I think too, if he can pop off today, this could be good. And I love that we get to see this. We get to see Pain who got a chance to shine. Now it's to prove I deserve to be always there, versus Dan, someone who is looking for that spotlight for this first time.
Well, I think both of these players though are trying to prove themselves. When you and we talked about it before, right? We talked about how many insane duelists we have in Challengers NA. That is something that no other region can say they have, at least as many as we have. But I think Paint and Timotino, yes, they have been part of the conversation when we're going into these matches, but they are not, the top 3 that you think about. So this is a good test for both of them. It feels like a very even playing field between Paint and Timotino today.
100%. And there's one more head-to-head that we wanted to do. And I'm getting the word from Prod that just kidding. We're not actually going to do it. I'm just a little fake out, you guys, You're over here. Just kidding. Double
you never know what's next.
You never know what's going to be happening over here. But all right. Talking about this series and everything else. I think too of both of these teams, we talked about the players having a lot to prove, but I think the teams have a lot to prove too. Of course, Core, they're looking to be able to establish themselves as a team that's, has the capability to push around some of these stronger teams. Where Shopify, Rebellion, Black, Roy, this is a team that had a lot of expectations coming into things, and that loss to Burger Boys last week kind of seemed a little bit more of an upset. So they're going to be hungry to have a little bit more out in the server today. Yeah,
I think that's a really good point. It's really, when you have so much org pressure, and your previous iteration of the roster for Shopify Rebellion was such a strong roster, right? And a lot of their players are competing and have had opportunities in VCT now as well. I think that first loss is kind of harsh on the mental, but I'm hearing through the grapevine that there is a fire lit under their bums, and I think you're absolutely right. I think they're sort of coming to the wake up call, like this is their opportunity to prove themselves, and there's so much potential within this lineup. And I'm hearing that they're been demolishing their scrims recently. So if scrims mean
You're hearing
anything,
a lot of things.
If scrims mean anything, then I'm expecting a pretty good showing here.
Roy's got his ear to the hole. He knows everything that's going on around here. All right. So I'm excited with that little extra tidbit of information. So let's start talking about today's series and head into our map picks and bans. The fact that we got to see both these teams last week, a little bit more information. Corridan, they're kicking it to Bind to start things off.
And this is a map that, you know, it's not that I want to say every single time, but it was one that they lost because of the momentum that Sad had on that second half. So many rounds on the attacking side, they lost at 13-9. So going into this map first for Core, I think is a good decision coming through for Shopify Rebellion. And again, if the streets are talking, Roy, what are they saying about these maps?
Okay, I don't have that much details. Okay, I only just hear the base rumors. But again, there's a level that we need to discuss, right? Is the fact that we don't really know what to expect from Shopify's bind. Obviously, it is a good map for Core. They look pretty good on that map, and their composition is relatively modern for how the landscape has shifted in the meta. So I think overall, it makes sense that Core would pick it, but you're going into a completely blind pick on the first map, so it could be kind of intimidating.
Yeah.
I'm just looking if we get to that third map, that split. We're talking about that upset. It was a very close match that Shopify Rebellion Black had up against Burger Boy. So I'm really hoping that we get a 3-map series in this. I also love that we're kicking it to the 3 OG maps. This is my ideal map. Well, I love this, but
I don't know.
Find Haven lover, crazy.
Haven is good. I'll say that.
I like Haven.
Yeah. Okay. You like what you like, all right? I'm not gonna sit here and defend myself. I'm not the one on trial here. You know what? We're gonna make people defend themselves about the predictions. I think that's gonna be the real testament. You know, Roy likes to flip the coins for the predictions, but you're still gonna live or die by them. I want to know if we're all in agreement.
Oh my god,
Roy, yet again. Okay, bud.
Listen, some of us need to believe in something good, okay? We need to believe in the underdogs, okay? If we only believe in the overdogs, then what's the point, you know? Someone needs to believe, and I will be the one to believe, aka my coin who also believes. But if I'm right, then I'm a genius, and if I'm wrong, well, it was just a coin, so it's like a win-win, you know?
I'm taking that coin away from you. If you're wrong, we're gonna make sure that is evident for everyone. Absolutely not. You're not getting away with this one. But I think it's safe to say here that there is some pretty big names on this squad. I think once things click, Dan, the potential for this roster is just through the roof. Not to discredit Core, I just think, I don't know. I see the names. I'm like, this has to work, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like, we already talked a few of these players. I think Brock, I remember from a breakthrough, that's when we started hearing about this guy and the potential that he had and how insane he is and he continues to be. Then you look at somebody like Payne that we talked about. We started hearing more about since he was able to sub in for MIBR last year. And then we talk about BCJ, for example, a player that has been at the very top, then went down, and he was so close qualifying to Ascension last year. Everybody thinking that was the favorite team, and things just kind of slip through their fingers. So are players that are hungry for those wins. They really want those wins. And I think, as we were saying, it's kind of a wake-up call, that match that they had last week, to see what they can do today. I mean, there's absolutely a possibility that I see where they're just stomping because of how hungry they are. They want to be that team that is perfect. It's flawless. It's always winning those matches. And it's intimidating for everybody else.
I can't believe that Roy has that inside scoop of there is a fire, they're ready to go, guys, and then bets against them, of all things.
Okay, that is like, crazy that you would frame it that way.
Yeah.
I just go with my intuition, even sometimes when I have information. You know what I mean? It is what it is. My coin. But it's completely cool. I think Core is plus or minus within the same level as Burger Boys. The talent is very capable. Anything could happen. Momentum is a real thing, and we'll see what happens.
Anything can happen, and I love that we can always phrase Valorant up to that at the end of the day. The match is almost ready. We're just waiting for our last player to get in, so quick break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
I think the biggest factor that makes our team different is every single player on our team just has passion. We're all playing the game every single day. We're not playing TFT, we're not playing League of Legends, we're only playing Valorant, putting all our time into the one game. And it's like what I brought up earlier for my my wisdom of the year is the more time you put in, the more it will yield. Even if you don't feel it, even if it's like you're playing bad, putting in time matters. Like, and not many people just like grind rank. Not many people just put as many hours in the game as us, and I think that's what gives us an edge. No, it didn't really change anything. They're both very similar players, and that's kind of what we were looking for in our 5th player, is a player that kind of just fills Knights' role, which is just a player that can shoot, a player, like I said, that has passion, and that has chemistry with us. We all have played with Ion before in ranked, or most of us at least, and he just filled the spot perfectly. Maybe a little bit. I think that going in the last time, it was like, we have nothing to lose. We're all just like a random team, we got together, like a pug team, right? And if you lose with that team, it's like, whatever, who cares? We were randomly thrown together. But now that we've won something, I think there is a little bit more pressure on us to keep up like the good results. But I don't think it's anything that will stop us. What can we expect? I mean, absolute domination.
Honestly, it's great because last year this team formed with, we have 4 players from our old team, and that team kind of fell apart. And then towards the end of the year, we came back together, and we're back as like 4, and we picked up Nanners as our new 5th. And it's really like rewarding to see all the hard work that we put in, from like playing like tier 3 events and Premier, like pay off, and finally we qualified for Challengers. And then we had a big upset as well, the first match. So that was very big for us and very motivating. Well, we definitely had some issues with roles with this guy because we have basically 3 Senti players, 3 people who play Senti. Me, Nanners, and Alvin were originally all Senti players. So we had to figure out roles pretty fast because we weren't scrimming for a while, and then we started scrimming halfway through January. So we had to figure out roles fast, but I think he's been an upgrade as far as like vibes and comms. Like he's very, like he's always one like cracking jokes or saying something funny. Like he's always there keeping the vibes up, never complaining, never really saying anything to ruin the mental. Honestly, from the match that we've played so far against Shopify Black, I would say it's a lot different. Like they were way more organized and structured with how they played, which was kind of like a double-edged sword. Like it made them a little bit predictable at times, whereas in tier 3, like you'll never expect Pickle Spear to swing through a smoke and get 2 and just be by himself while the rest of his team's at A. Whereas these guys, they're kind of playing more together, they're trading better. So I mean, there's pros and cons to both. Honestly, I mean, we started the year with a big upset. I would say that a lot of people weren't expecting us to be competition. So just expect the unexpected, right? Like we're gonna show up, we're gonna play our game no matter who the opponent is.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you so much for your patience. We just some ping issues. Got to make sure everything is good for everyone. We want to see the best Valorant out there, but it's time to start getting ready for Shopify Rebellion Black going up against QOR. Roy, QOR, we're taking us to Bind to start things off. Expectations heading to this agent select in this map.
Honestly, the expectations is expect crazy set plays. They have Breach, they have a Tejo, they have a Yoru. Hopefully that's what they end up picking, but that's what they played last time. So I think overall it should be a pretty util heavy set play type of game where we're going to see a lot of action and a lot of chaos. I
love it. You guys made fun of me for loving Bind. I love the chaos. I love the action. So I'm sold. You guys should be too. But now as we're heading into the agent select, here's the chaos. Tiмотino back on the Yoru on the opposing end, and Shopify Rebellion Black. All right.
Interesting.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight, first of all, this core composition that we're seeing with the Tejo, with the Vice, with the Yoru. This is what we're seeing is kind of working out the best in Americas, with Sentinels and G2 running and opting for these three in the mix of these three in a map like this one. I think is really good. But on the other side for Shopify Rebellion, but I didn't really know what to expect. We're going with the Gecko from, for example, 100 Thieves playing in and painting the race.
Yeah, looking back, this composition, maybe things kind of switched around on who's on what, but something similar they played a little bit back. So it should be interesting to see how this fares against what QOR has been cooking up. But let's hop into the game. Let's not make anyone out there wait any longer. So Marks, Tenric, have fun.
Thanks so much, Sierra. Shopify Rebellion Black is a monster the size of a mouse. In the final split of 2024, they were very soundly upset in their group, and in a stunning turn of events, missed playoffs. Though they took in a little bit of water during the offseason, they came back to 2025 looking good and as strong as can be, and they promptly got upset. Now they sit here, 0-1, expectations still high, win rate still low. QOR is a monster the size of a... Oh, I'm so sorry. This is the exact same script. Minus the part about absorbing another organization. But the fact still is, Mark, one of these teams will finally get to break the very low status quo that has been set for themselves so far.
Okay, I wouldn't say there's a low status quo here. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I got pretty hyped up when I saw the Shopify Rebellion Black roster announcement coming through. But like you said, both these teams have been struggling a little bit. This is a bit of an interesting pick coming in from QOR, as they haven't really found too much success on Bind thus far. But this really just feels like they might be just trying to workshop it a little bit, get things clicking, because we know that this composition can work really well. So far, they're off to a good start, though, with Pancakes down.
Tiмотino will end up getting punished after the initial push by SRB, which looks as strong as can be through lamps. Plant goes down with the little guy just in time before the aftershock procs, and so QOR tiny bit stranded, but a lot of angles that they can consider, starting with Nerve in the back 2v1, though, and it's overwhelming. Rest of SRB now get to be as well. Darkest extends, easily thwarted. And QOR, unfortunately, shuffle into an easy post-plant that Shopify Rebellion have set up for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, shuffling is a very great way to describe that. At first, we talk about it, Pancakes going down. Okay, maybe this is an opportunity for QOR to be able to do something. The members of Shopify Rebellion are a little bit more damaged. And then they just start to use their utility really well and play a little bit smarter around the map. And so Shopify Black will be able to get their first round here. A very aggressive play by Tiмотino. I'm going to be honest, we can expect to see a little bit more of that as this match continues on. Timo has been a fantastic Yoru player, an absolute demon, and even in the last match where QOR was up against Sad, was doing a fantastic job. This core squad really does play around that Yoru, and so I'm curious to see how Shopify Rebellion Black are going to do their due diligence to make sure that they keep that in check.
Yeah, Tiмотino's activity is a necessity. The last thing you want to do as a QOR member is discourage him, and so you're going to see him try to go for those extensions quite a bit against these Shopify members who have staggered themselves quite a bit here to see if they can find the stack without losing too much in the fray. It'll be BCJ, one of the most weathered members of Challengers, period, to take the brunt of the blow, and Spaz to absorb the attempted trap. He'll do some damage, but no more. Nerve stays alive, as does the rest of QOR.
Yeah, and honestly, that was just an excellent trap play there. QOR should have been able to secure that first kill, but given the fact that they aren't, this is going to be a little bit more tough for them. Shopify Rebellion should have a very easy job just storming in onto this B site and getting the spike down.
With the smokes down, they have the whole place to themselves. And so, like you said, indeed, they'll waltz right in. Nothing to stop them except a stack of core that looks to die with some money in their hands. Turns out you can take it with you, just in-game.
Yeah, look at this. I mean, it's just really disciplined play right now coming in from Shopify Rebellion Black. They know they don't have to push this a little bit too aggressively. They can spray through the smoke. The core hasn't even gone to try and get that defuse at all. Timotino watching up top, BCJ opening it up. Looking pretty good so far. With that Guardian in hand, is now the swing through is going to be happening. Hold down that left mouse button. It's going to be a nice, easy spray down coming in from Shopify Rebellion Black as they take their second round, and we'll be able to bonus quite nicely into this next one.
There's a good amount of space made by Core with, to be fair, quite minimal util, but Shopify Rebellion, they look to explode from the Garden and the Hookah, and with Timotino shut down before he can do too much damage, there's not much more that Core are left to scream with this round. Pretty much to be expected. And they will run into this with Nerve holding onto a Guardian and Dargis with a Bulldog, a little bit dissuading, but they've looked pretty solid and lackadaisical in how they have approached this retake game. They know there's not necessarily a rush with the comp they have, especially if Snarly's util can intercept properly.
And the classic Viper stuff getting tossed around the map, denying a little bit more information. By Shopify Rebellion playing a little bit more slow on any of these sites while Core just simply hold their ground. Timotino gonna use the gate crash to back up completely. Darkest actually able to find one just by spraying through, and now the engagement is forced.
Yeah, Shopify are forced to kind of rush into this willy-nilly, and it'll give Pain an early kill and an excuse to continue reaching from the lamps, which he will do to grab one more onto Logan. Core are technically boxed out, but still 3v2 looking decent for them. Pain gonna try and just get it all done himself, and does certainly make it terrifying, but Timotino again, good damage control. Brock alone, no reason not to hit that clone. You've already given yourself away at this point. No util left in the bank, just has to spray it down with the Bulldog. It's not easy to do so. So Core will keep 3 alive and look pretty decent walking into round 4. Honestly, no complaints really on this retake. It looks beyond decent for what Shopify have to offer on the attack so far.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. You see Core just completely back out of the site. Shopify Rebellion Black doing a great job playing around all of those smokes, understanding, wait a second, smokes galore. That means we can probably get a little bit closer, and that's when those guns are going to be a lot more effective. And so that's why Shopify Rebellion did a good job with the take. But Core just weathering the storm, understanding that they are a little bit better on the longer range. Play it nice and controlled. Into this next round, this is where things get a little bit more interesting. I mean, you saw it there, Timotino only has that Bucky. And we've seen some disgusting Bucky plays before, but it's gonna be a little bit more difficult. Okay, well, special drift available if you're looking for one.
You know what? If that's how Timotino wants to approach it, if he gets a salvo to help him out, why the hell not? That is such a fun way to find value out of a Bucky, although it does give a good amount of space to Shopify Rebellion up B main. And so they'll use that to infect site regardless. A lot of tools at their disposal, including those smokes still on a decent timer, but Spike is yet to go down. Brock taking his sweet time on this double clear for good reason. He still has a lot on his plate. And Core still have a lot to offer here. Timotino, no ultimate, still no rifle, to be fair, but we'll see what he can accomplish with the rest of his team in tow on the 5v4.
Honestly, excellent job from Shopify. Understanding they don't have hookah control, they control back instead, but look at that, Pain just with the crossfire is just lighting it up.
We just run back out, hookah control not fully taken in time, and so Shopify Rebellion have a war on 2 fronts, still a 2v2, though beautiful bird from Brock to reduce it to a 2v1, which BCJ takes effortlessly. Chemistry between those two still can't be denied. 3-1 for Shopify.
Yeah, and the point that I was making earlier was, they're able to storm in onto the site, just excellent awareness, given the fact that, yeah, all right, Timotino's just kind of running it down, and sure, you lose someone in the Bucky badness, but that gives you that space onto B. They didn't clear out Hookah, and I was going to be a little bit concerned about the retake, given the fact that there's going to be a lot of pressure, a lot more unknown. How does Shopify make up with it? Well, they just simply control the spawn flood in completely. Just watching that long angle, as soon as the smokes expire, Pain is able to find a couple of kills and completely stunts what can happen out of spawn, leaving Hookah being the only weak point. So just excellent map positioning from Shopify right now, and BCJ finding Timotino is a great way to start this next.
And wow, brazenly just picking up that orb as well while he was at it. Not even a peek from the remainder of core. They don't know how many are there at that point. They don't know if anybody's re-upped his peak, and so too scared to try to punish. It is a 5v4 handed over to Shopify Rebellion. Core want to put all of their eggs into their one gamble stacking basket on this eco. It's Nerve with the hero rifle. He'll be the one to head down into sand itself and see if he can find anything. He can't. Shopify is already over at A short, where they've let little guy take the reins once more. Logan has not been checked yet, though, and still has all of the util, along with one orb away from that ultimate, so could easily do a hell of a lot of clearing on his lonesome, while the rest of core walk in to no doubt die with him.
Tenric, I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit concerned about the timing here. Look at how slow that flood in from core is.
This is taking a really
Shopify
long
Rebellion
time, yeah.
back are just hanging out, and they've got so much utility to be able to deter this. And now this timing being found from Pancakes onto Logan, aware that someone's there in showers.
Yeah, that'll be that. And indeed, now it's certainly got to be core just going in to try and find some damage on their way to die. Unfortunate, but the case this round. And Shopify, once again, keep it nice and clean. 4-1 now. Everything you could ask for, and some ults on the board, too, here for the group.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like just textbook Valorant play that you'd expect coming out of a team as well rehearsed as Shopify Rebellion Black. You know, sure, they're going to win that last round. It was a little bit of an eco, but still going to be a great round. Get enough ultimate orbs to have a couple of ultimates into this next one, and a couple of their other members should have ults in the future rounds. So they're setting themselves up to continue to just sustain the momentum that they've got. Of course, core, they're not out of this yet. They've got plenty of opportunities to make something happen, but everything just feels very rehearsed and coordinated coming out from Shopify thus far.
We're already seeing that Mosh thrown. That's the second time it has been. Nerf has got to start setting himself up for that, especially if Shopify are going to be this fast with it going forward into the rifle rounds. Timotino, it should be said, holding onto that operator quite close as well up in hookah here. This is a tough vantage to be holding and a lot of responsibility to be giving to Snarly, who is taking up that sentinel role, one of the longest standing members on core so far, and thus one of its most reliable. Couple pot shots taken, couple pot shots dealt to him in tow. In fact, he'll take the majority of the damage traded, in fact, all of it, as Shopify will switch on over through TP. It's a clear from the Tejo to time things out and force a split. Only Paint's upstairs, in the showers. On top of the smokes, rest of Shopify will slowly make their way towards the site. The core is so prepared, more than ever this time around. Dark is still found out on the drop down, and Shopify with the showstopper see an easy opportunity to not only enter, but engage early. Paint's still on top of this ledge and can't get cut off by Snarly until the bitter end. Now can enter from on high, but Shopify's paying attention and they're able to counteract at the very least that. Nerve turns this back to a 3v3 from the new Heaven Peak. The rest of core will slowly but surely take this over. Now it's the truck peak you've got to worry about. BCJ still making some trouble in shower, and now shrouded by a smoke. He's honestly a little more powerful. Shopify keeps strong on both ends of the deal, and thus strike one hell of a bargain. 5-1 now.
I love the way that you frame that too, because, you know, you got a couple of members trying to play a little bit more aggressive. We see Paint just go in and try to just take the fight right to core before they can set up. And that goes a little bit wrong, which isn't exactly how you want that to go. But then the remaining members of Shopify Rebellion spread themselves out, are ready for that crossfire, ready for the flood in, have all the flash utility necessary. And you see that they take their timings so well. The game sense is so well honed in, because as soon as core decide to walk in onto the site, they have to check 3 different angles, and instead their heads just hit the ground. So fantastic hold from Shopify Rebellion. And yeah, the timeout from core is going to be called here, because really this Shopify train seems to be rolling right along.
Yeah, really seems like there's little to complain about with this team so far. They have some very great set plays, some fantastic execs so far. Really, everything impressive. Certainly a lot to be impressed by on core side. I mean, Timotino obviously the highlight reel so far, especially with that fun dimensional drift push, but only enabling one duelist is proving to become a thing of the past. Valorant boomers, get with the times. Can't just sit back in your armchair in IGL like you're freaking MODOK. You gotta be up close and personal.
Oh, I didn't realize MODOK was an IGL for a Valorant team. That's crazy.
MODOK would be an IGL. Come on.
No, I think the team would get a little bit too tilted if MODOK was the IGL. I don't imagine a lot of support or leadership coming out from that one. But, like you talked about it in the pre-show where it's just like both of these teams fallen a little bit short in the last version of Challengers. Now the rosters have been refreshed a little bit, a couple of things being turned around. And, well, Shopify Rebellion, they fell a little bit short against the Burger Boys, but they're looking really clean. And honestly, even in a previous interview from one of the members of the Rankers, they complimented Shopify at how well rehearsed they seem. And genuinely, when you watch the start of all these rounds, when you see a lot of these executions, you can really see just that everything feels so well practiced. And so, yeah, you can talk about the whole like aiming brain and how important that is, but these foundations are what really carry the Shopify team forwards. And I do think that this roster does have enough individual talent that they can start to take off a little bit. They've been a little bit slow on the start, but I got faith in Shopify.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, no, it was definitely a tough first loss here in the Swiss, but I mean, this is a roster that I think everyone I know has a different favorite player on the team. Like this roster's so good. Like there is really something to love about everything and everyone on this squad, despite its unfortunately pretty lackluster display so far. Unfortunately, this map certainly different. Like you said, they look so rehearsed. They look so clean. They look so well practiced. What you expect from players of this caliber. And yeah, the aim diff, not nearly as much of a difference as just this team. I mean, they look like a VCT team. It's like the way that they execute looks like the way a coach tells a VCT team to execute, and they execute it as well as a VCT. It's fantastic.
Yeah, 200-page document required. Unless secretly that's the key here. That's going on in the background, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
I think I saw
that's
a
what
post
I've been studying. I haven't been watching any film going into this. I've been solely reading.
Just committing the entire document to memory. Oh man! But
hey, I already have enough useless knowledge, dude. I'm a Valorant caster. You think
what's 200 pages more?
What's learning 15 defaults that don't work?
Yeah. Well, Paint is starting us off strong. There's a little bit of a cheeky idea there from Core, but you can tell that it was a little bit half-baked. They never really had the confidence to really see it through. As a result, it's just 2 easy picks. So it's going to be a nice, easy, clean take, and Pancake's finally being, well, actually, I was going to say benefited from being that flank watch, but does get taken out.
I think it's great that Pancakes is kind of taking that step back in that flank watch role occasionally. Great to do that with the relatively universal utility that Viper gets to have on a place like Bind, despite the fact that you can't pick up that orb again. I just love watching Pancakes. I think I've been monitoring him the longest out of the 5 on Shopify Rebellion, purely because he got picked up by a crew when he was on Easy 5. And he's just been fantastic ever since. And now on this Viper, where he sits best, along with the rest of the Shopify Rebellion team, where everybody just feels like they slot in like a glove. Darkest only good for 1 here on the Eco, and Shopify, like you said, train keeps rolling.
Yeah. Choo-choo, here's to 6 now. Station 6, just up ahead. And they arrive nice and easy. So when we're talking about the grand scheme of how this is going to go, I think that this round is really going to be the decider on how this map is potentially going to go. Because a lot of ultimate's going to be on the board for Core here. They're not finding success in any of their traditional pushes. They're going to have enough weaponry this time to potentially put a stop in Shopify. But this is just further reinforcing that Bind is not a good map for Core. And sure, it's still early on in the season. You still want to get some of that practice in here, but at the same time, like, you can't be just giving up your own map pick like it feels like things are going now.
A little bit of stoppage here from Core's end, but I don't think Darkest is going to want to play as preventative being alone. Pit in the kit. Darkest will counteract with the Rolling Thunder, which actually kicks Pancakes out of it momentarily, but still the same danger present on top of the site. Just no spike to go with it just yet. BCJ will try to fix that, as Darkest does get the frag onto Brock on the outskirts. Steel Garden now used by Snarly, but Pancakes still just walking around side with a short. He doesn't care. They're in a pit. They don't need that. The BCJ just dodged it entirely.
Sorry, buddy.
What a strange reaction from, frankly, both sides, but one that was clearly better and more practiced once again.
Henrik, I have so many questions about how that round got played out by Core.
I don't know about that Steel Garden, man.
I don't know about the Rolling Thunder either. I think the idea was, it was good in potential theory, but it's so weird how that one goes, just simply because, you know, you push through with the Rolling Thunder. You use the Rolling Thunder to either push people off this from planting the spike or set them up, concuss them so that you can get a couple of kills. If there's a giant Viper spit in front of you, you can't see where any of those players are going to be booped up. And so it more or less just negates that ultimate, just stalls for a little bit of time, and then the round, you know, it just simply resets. So a weird play from Core, and they lose 2 good ultimates.
Yeah, that was, yeah, you're absolutely right. No good way to work around this. Darkest will be the target of revenge here from Pancakes, as the chase down will actually low-key kind of work. While BCJ gets another clean plant on A site. Nerve will refrag though, so it is somehow a 2v2 going into this post plant. Nerve does have a Cosmic Divide as well, so Shopify will be forced to split. Still playing from a distance though. BCJ does have Thrash, so they are allowed to do that. Oh, wow, Brock.
Excellent play.
Wow, yeah, that was fantastic. That's all it takes to, again, keep this nice and tidy. 8-1.
That was... I feel like these rounds are just so difficult to comprehend, because at that point it was just like they're running around the map just playing deathmatch at that. And that's after the fact that Shopify already had the spike planted at this point. It just is such
a great shot back from Pancake.
Weird combination of stuff going on, and the Broctagon coming alive at the very end there has the flank, has the information, but it's just like so much time has been given up by Core. They look uncoordinated and not too sure what their next move is going to be, without necessarily the firepower to stop Shopify in their tracks. This time Timotino does have the operator, but the Thrash immediately just kind of checks that out, and BCH can just go and pick that ultimate back up.
Yeah, that's all BCJ wanted to do with the Thrash for that first push. Just fully take lane, make sure that Timotino has to back out. And so now Core has very few repositioning tools, so Timotino is going to be forced to play up close and, yeah, use this ultimate a little bit early as Paint goes for the entryway and is completely unfettered by the rest of the team. That's 2 for him, and he's still standing. So is the rest of Shopify, as Timotino retakes with op in hand up elbow. What tools does Core have to retake? Basically 0. Cosmic Divide is going to be used here, but Paint's already going crazy in the backline.
That's already the operator down as well. Snarly and Nerve, they have to do something to start to pull this one back, but they actually make the call to back off and save. And
that's so rough.
At this point, I think it's important to talk about potentially what I think is going wrong here with Core's defense. It feels like they're using this composition to play a little bit reactive to Shopify Rebellion. And quite frankly, this is not how you want to play this. You want to be playing the advantage. You want to be pushing forwards. You want to use that utility to zone people out and, you know, disrupt anything that Shopify Rebellion are doing. If Shopify Rebellion have already taken the site, putting up all this flashes, putting up all the steel cages, everything is not going to stop them from being able to set up and, you know, be able to play that post plan. Core, meanwhile, then just expends so many of these tools, and so then they can't even play the retake necessarily properly. It really is feeling like just a misunderstanding of how to play this composition, and just relying so heavily on Timotino to be able to find picks very early on, which just simply isn't happening because Shopify Rebellion are dotting their I's and crossing their T's.
Yeah, they're Snarly's. Timotino and Snarly have not been able to work in tandem as nearly as much as they'd like to. Timotino needs to like Paul Revere where the push is coming from, so Snarly can activate the Razor Vines and work around the shear properly. But Timotino, like you said, is just he's getting stopgapped way too early in these approaches. Shopify is just taking the space. They use one flash and they have the space back. It's just not nearly effective as a pushback as we saw someone like Verbsid doing on the last match over on SAD. And the ult usage is just not really connecting here. Just Core, it seems like, I don't know, maybe they were fighting for the ping diff for a reason, because it seems like everything is just a little too stunted, you know?
Yeah, no, couldn't have said it better myself. Like, Timotino, really good aimer, really good fragger. We saw that happen in previous matches that Core has gone up against, but it's just simply just getting shut down by utility. And that's kind of a crazy thing to say, but it really highlights the difference of preparation that both these teams are kind of coming in with. Like, the rehearsal and just the understanding of how to play off of each other from Shopify Rebellion can make a lifetime of difference in shutting down players who have that kind of unreal aim, unreal talent. Whereas on the other side, just coordination of that utility and engagement can really just stunt your superstar players.
We'll see if Shopify goad anything more out of QOR here. Timatino will choose to play a little farther back. TP's still in his hand. Available for a counter angle. But it'll be about the salvos and the vines first. Shopify just walk on by and get a kill onto Dark. They just don't care. I mean, it's just, again, it's just a little bit too late. And now, Snarly on the way back. Nerve on the flank back. Yet again, like you said, they're looking for a reactive play, and then they just aren't reacting in time. Good kills by Logan and Nerve, though. Hey, we're on site. We're getting something done. We're aim dipping. That's what does everything at the end of the day. This is Valorant. This isn't chess. Paint. Shells out. Goes down. BCJ going crazy on the boxes. And we've still got enough kills to make it work.
Oh boy. You know what? You're right. This is Valorant, and we're about to see another 11-1 half potentially in front of us.
Wow.
In a single day. This is kind of unbelievable. And I feel like that last round once again goes to highlight just a fundamental misunderstanding of how to play with some of this utility. You said it yourself. Oh, there go the salvos. Oh, and they're just walking right past them. The utility is not being utilized at all to really stunt how Shopify Rebellion Black are moving in onto the site. You want to use those salvos to completely prevent them from doing anything. This is the first time we're seeing a reactive play come in from QOR, and they're already being met with success.
Okay, Logan will be the one to get the majority of that, but it was the full-blown push from 3 members of QOR. Doing so much work there. And now it's got to be Shopify playing damage control. A bird has to get sacrificed to even get a look at the spike. The 2v3 with options available for QOR. Snarly is on quite a road to be able to react effectively with these Razor Vines if Shopify choose to TP, which they now have the space to do.
One enemy
Muscard is fully watched, which it is, by a high-low. Rock trying to fake a clone, apparently. But Pancakes now has room that he knows he has to get the spike at the very least. So a 1v3 with 45 seconds to go, he can at least keep this interesting.
And quite frankly, this is how you want to play this composition. It's like QOR have a direct feed into what I was saying on that last round. Like, you need to play that advantage. You need to use the stuns, you need to use the spacing out to really just force Shopify Rebellion into a weird mode of attack. And then suddenly you're able to find so much value right off the bat. And just like this, it's an easy round from QOR. Shopify Rebellion had nothing in their pockets really to make this round work out. And now Pancake's so low just off of that Razor Vine, aware of where Snarly is, but this one is all but over, Tenrek.
No position. Looks like Pancakes was trying to goad the salvos, but Logan literally wasn't even in sight until the third time he tapped it. So very well played by QOR for that final round of the half indeed. And yeah, that was the way that the comp was meant to be played. Timatino does need to be activated, but you got to have the rest of the team follow him. And Darkest and Logan are the perfect players to do that. The double initiator can swing with so much just raw damage and power, and so many different ways of holding back that Shopify couldn't work around. And QOR used it once this half. So a lot of work to do here on the attack, and it'll start up short.
Yep. Let's see how this one goes. Like, there's so much that we could continue to talk about QOR's defense there. But this time around, now they're on the attack. I'm so curious to see what they bring to the board this time around. We see Shopify Rebellion going for a bit more of a gamble stack onto that B site, leaving Pancakes to be the pseudo sentinel on A. QOR just have a nice, easy time walking in onto the site. It will be this 5v5 retake as the TP gets activated.
En masse. Nerve has his work cut out for him early on here, and The Dizzy will
What?
finalize. Darkest not there in time. So Shower's completely taken over. Core will take that as a sign to extend their own direction up to CT spawn where Spaz has been walled out. Brock has been killed up the Shower push, but the rest of the swing is going okay. BCJ and Paint, as always, getting theirs. My God. It's just Darkest left now, and no way. No way, no how, no. Oh, that's fun. Letting the guy get in on it. Payne said, hold my beer, hold my spike, buddy. I gotta go get one more kill.
Oh, that was a little bit of a messier round. I mean, obviously, we can talk about BCJ just absolutely fragging this map so far. I think that BCJ's performance has been immaculate. Obviously, Paint kind of stealing the show here, but at the same time, BCJ has been extremely consistent. And at first, I thought it was a pretty good idea coming in from Core on how they were going to attack it, but Shopify Rebellion just, once again, playing very textbook Valorant. They're like the textbook Rebellion, which sounds crazy to me, but just with how simple stuff, the fundamentals are just well mastered on how they want to play it. It's almost like gentleman's Valorant that they're playing, and it's working out well because Core have not been able to really disrupt it.
Early setup here by both teams. Vines in the back, Spaz in the front. Both find relative punches, but Core is on site. Brock is still, though, as well. And yeah, the gun power is going to do it from there. Great ideas from Core, but better guns from Shopify will give them 10 opportunities to take this first map.
12-2. Right now, if you're the coach of Core, you're thinking about what we can potentially do to get a little bit better on bind, or potentially just perma-ban bind at this point, because this is just looking really rough from the squad, and the communication from Shopify Rebellion is just swinging through completely. I mean, sure, there's something to be said about their utility, but at the same time, they're just playing together extremely well, watching each other's backs, watching these weird angles, making sure that they've got everything ready to go. And you know, once again, it's working out perfectly for them because they've completely stopped Core from moving in.
Poison's off. I'll have to do so a second time as the lane push is strong.
Oh no.
What is that, Pancakes? First kill by Nerve, and Core see that as the go button. Why not? And we trudge. Massive opening here.
Planted.
That should be all she wrote here. Core should be able to carry this into a 3-12
Last
gap
player
with the
standing.
gun diff.
Yeah.
BCJ gone. Everybody's looking at Spaz.
Thanks for helping me take out the trash.
So,
Okay.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, great. I mean, great start. Fantastic start to a very long half you've got ahead of you here. If you're Core. Again, yeah, no complaints. Pancakes overextended. Oopsie.
I think, though, you're allowed to play with a little bit more margin of error if you're Shopify Rebellion Black, just simply because, like, you know, hey, we're up, and we literally just need one more round, and things will be okay. You know, you're all the way over there in Rainbow City, and Core, meanwhile, are like, you know the Greek myth where the guy's got to push the boulder up the mountain? That's kind of what they're facing up against right now. Yes. Sisyphus, how did I forget? But this time around, it's a little bit more cheeky. They're going back to the textbooks right now. School is back in session. We see Pancakes playing a little bit more close by, has that Bucky in hand, and Brock's got this guiding light ready to go. Core have been a little bit more slow this time around, but once that poison orb goes up, the engagement going to be through. Timotino able to escape.
1-for-1 ultimately, but the fight is going to continue. Rage on, in fact, and Logan yet again getting a little aggressive, and it really paying off for him. And thus the rest of Core. Pain blind fires with the showstopper to equalize on a Nerve. And Snarly, no accessible guns until he gets to where the fight is once more. Against Spaz and Paint, looking to wrap it up here and now. Their guns are not squeaky clean either. 40 seconds to go. A lot of work to do here on Snarly's behalf. But it'll start with the garden clear where Shopify have rotated over to. Are they going to push this lane? They are. And Snarly's put his gun down and turned around just in time. Too much in your way. Shopify Rebellion Black. The machine is up and running with a 13-3 victory.
Yeah, I guess Sisyphus retired. Looking at that mountain was like, actually, I think I'm done. And honestly, like Shopify Rebellion, everything was just so clean and so well put together from this squad. I mean, comparatively to the time that they faced up against the Burger Boys, it didn't look as clean. It felt like they were getting disrupted. And once they kind of fall out of their routine, fall out of how they want to take these executions or defense or anything like that, that's when you start to see them really struggle. There didn't feel like there was a single point of this map where QOR was doing something to disrupt that flow of Shopify Rebellion Black. It was only when you saw like that one round where Pancakes was like, I'm gonna go exploring in hookah. Or they were just like, all right, guys, let's just see what we can do on this round, where we saw QOR be able to find a foot in the door. But honestly, like once again, the rehearsal, everything is just squeaky clean coming out from Shopify if you let them set up what they want.
Yeah, we'll see if that harmony continues going forward, and not just this match, but the split as a whole. Meanwhile, we'll see if QOR can roll that stone up that hill on map 2 when we come back after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
I think bringing back Brock from last season made a lot of sense. He's one of those players that fits the initiator role pretty well. And so when we were looking to build past him, the coaches kind of looked at, you know, who kind of fits the same mold of like, does their job, really good comms, really good shots, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of what we were looking for in the offseason. And so when we found all those players, you know, they meshed really well with the coaches. I've meshed really well with both my coaches. I'd say some of the players have, you know, either worked with some of the coaches or, you know, talked with them before. So we're all pretty friendly people to each other, and we're all like, you know, likable. So when we go into this thing, we knew like we were going to be committed from the get-go. Like, unless something seriously goes wrong and some player just stops caring, which I don't really see with this group, we should be fine and we should be just full steam ahead. So I think for us from the get-go, it's always been just improve as this 5, really focus on like this 5 and being like the best 5 you can and go all the way to Ascension. I think the biggest improvement has been on the fundamentals of the game. I think a lot of us came from different teams that kind of were taught different fundamentals. Some not taught at all. You know, it's just how it is. You know, you come straight from ranked, play on a few teams, that's just how it is. So for this team, it's really just about combining all that experience together to kind of get on the same page. And that leads into our struggle. I think that was our struggle in the beginning, is just trying to get on the same page at all times. I think the view that each of us have on the game had been slightly different because we came from so many different teams. So now, you know, we've had a few months to, you know, get on the same page, probably like a month, almost 2 months now. Practice has been going really well. We were consistently beating like all the franchise teams. So I think we're getting back into that, you know, all of us on one aligned goal mentality. I think you can expect a lot of firepower and a lot of like highlight reel plays. I think we're one of those teams that likes to do crazy shit all the time. But we're gonna have some crazy plays this year, especially with some of the coaches on board. They love cooking up these crazy plays. So we got a lot of like star power on this team, and I'm hoping to see a lot of clutches. Don't see us in the clutch, let me tell you. Holy, we got a lot of clutches in the team. Got a lot of like star players, a lot of 3Ks coming your way. So hoping that you'll get to see some of that this season.